My name is Nick Hopcraft. I chair the Procurement and Delivery Panel at CIHT. Today we are holding a workshop to discuss the role of the integrator, or as some might have it, the return of the integrator. Intriguing because it's a term which a lot of people probably aren't familiar with, but equally it very much fits within the whole ethos of collaborative procurement, and the whole idea of integrating teams is not something that's new. It's something that used to go on 50 years ago in our profession. It was then reinvented through Latham and Egan. It perhaps got put back on its shelf in the mid-2000s when the recession cut in and transactional procurement became popular again. But hopefully now we're moving very much in a forward direction to a very much collaborative approach, driven by long-term relationships, driven by outcomes rather than outputs. So the whole theory around and practice around having integrated teams very much on the agenda. So the role of the integrator is very fundamental to this. It's a term that is now figuring in a lot of procurements by the major clients. So it's important that we understand what it is and how we can best help and develop what that role is for the benefit of the industry. From a CIHT perspective, we are a learning forum. We are there to help people learn their professional terms and how they will go about their job. So we're here to provide that environment for people to benefit from other people's experiences in events such as this. So we get people in who know something about the subject, people to come and learn about the subject, and we can discuss and challenge some of the principles so that we get some benefit from that, which can forward into the development of best practice, which the CIHT can then promote within the round. So having the ability to facilitate these discussions, get a group of people together, such as the professionals in the room outside, is really important to CIHT and see the reason why CIHT exists. So we're hoping today to get some really good outputs which we can take forward both into the national conference, which is next month in March, and into sort of technical articles and say the development of best practice through the interaction and effectively the integration of the minds of the people in the room on the subject of what is this integrator, how's it going to work, what are the skills that are needed to support it. So we're all hoping for a really good day, a challenging day I hope as well, and to get some really good outputs that we can take forward.
Hi, my name is Edward Moore. I'm Chief Executive of a company called ResoLex. We've been looking today at the role of the integrator, and to our mind, when you're discussing construction projects and infrastructure projects, it's important to recognise that there are three key elements to this. You've got the technical element, the commercial element, and the social element. Now, as an industry, it's very easy to focus on those first two, the technical and the commercial, both of which are finding solutions to rules-based challenges. And through education, through training, those are what we are trained to focus on, trained to resolve. What we really want to have a look at today is that third element, the social element, and what that means, particularly in the role of the integrator. So to actually get organisations working successfully together, we think there are 5 key elements. There's leadership, alignment, engagement, building resilience, and then the effective use of innovation. As all of those combine, it actually enables you to generate an integrated team that can take a joint view of challenges, can co-create the solutions that are actually value-adding and bring in the innovation, bringing the expertise from tier 2, tier 3 specialists into this one solution that will actually provide the optimum value. To actually achieve this, the role of the integrator is going to become more and more important. In fact, it's going to become essential. And that isn't the role of an individual person who's there operating within a business as usual environment, but is just there to make sure that people behave well. It's going to be a role that takes on the challenges of that technical and technological integration, and that's both through modular construction and technologies that can integrate the supply chain, through commercial, using innovative contract forms and making sure that the money actually works for all of those partners, and through the social, around changing from command and control leadership through to a more agile feedback and adapt, which is going to actually generate that engagement needed to deliver these complex infrastructure projects of the future.
Hi, I'm Mark Boland, Highways England, I'm Head of Procurement. So we're talking today about integration models and how Highways England have adapted the various integration models. So one of the key things we identified was how we differentiate integration and collaboration, and what do we really mean by the differences. So we've identified 4 distinct models that we really think displays when we're developing procurement strategies and working with clients to really understand what is the purpose of integration that we want to achieve, to really avoid the risk of failure and get those opportunities. So you can see on the slides we've identified our first one, which is really a project leadership integration, where we actually look to bring in a separate company to operate separately and drive integration across the piece. And that really gives us some real opportunities. You can see on the slide those key features, and it's really understanding how that separate integrator could really work with us as the client and us and our supply chain to really deliver some key outputs. The second one is what we call our community integrator, where we're not bringing in a separate integrator, but we're actually bringing our supply chain to operate in an integrated manner. So that's really pulling them together to focus on common outputs and common outcomes. And we've recently just delivered that model for our regional delivery integration partnerships. And that's really, you can see the key features of there that we're trying to achieve in getting all of our partners to work together as an integration. And then the second 2 types of integrations is really our disruptors and our sort of independent partners that are coming in to really integrate. So we have our business integrators who come in to really look at the end-to-end value chain and the end-to-end process to really say how can we integrate all through the supply chain on specific core functions, and that's either challenging the partners or bringing some really good practice. And then our final one is really our leadership integration, where we're really looking for just external partners to come in and really challenge how we integrate ourselves and challenge from industry best practice and challenge the organisations to do differently. That doesn't need to come from the traditional management consultants. We can have that within our current supply chain and really driving that. So we really think those 4 different models give us the best benefit. With Highways England, we've adapted those models to put on our community leadership for our DIPs, our integration partners, and we've also looked to adapt it for Smart Motorways Alliance on our project leadership from them. And really we're on a journey now to look at, in the medium to long term, how can we as a client and how can the supply chain adapt to move into that more project integration space over the longer term.
Hello, I'm Tom Flato, CEO of Team Working International. So, why is neuroscience so important for project leaders to understand? Well, the thing is, so often we're given tools and techniques of how to lead, manage, negotiate, with little understanding of how or why they work. So, neuroscience provides us that understanding, and if we understand why we should manage like this and not like this, it gives us a great deal of motivation to do it better. So why do things go wrong in either team management, leadership or negotiation? And the answer is because we still have hunter-gatherer brains, and we still act whenever there's a threat, there's a negative thing that happens, we act as if it's a physical predator when in fact it's a negative boss perhaps, or an upset customer. And this triggers what we call a threat response, and when that happens it releases adrenaline and cortisol, and it actually shuts down the thinking brain just when we need it to solve the problem. So what we should be doing instead in all interactions, whether they're internal people or external, is attempt to create a reward response, because the brain is a social organ and we're designed to connect with each other. And when we do that, it triggers the reward system in the brain, releasing dopamine and oxytocin that gives us a nice feel-good factor and makes us want to deal with that person more. Neuroscience really explains to people the science behind why we act like we do as human beings, why leading in one way is going to create negative results, whereas leading in another way is going to create positive results. And when we understand that, when we understand our evolutionary history and how the brain works, it's going to be much easier for us to engage with these new behaviours. So amazingly, emotion plays 80% of decision making. And what happens is our non-conscious brain makes a snap decision about something emotionally. It then informs our conscious brain, and that gives us the perception that we've made a rational decision. So if we look at what's happening with digital transformation in a lot of organisations these days, the rational thinking, the planning, the controlling, the monitoring, the analysis can all be done by computers and machines and artificial intelligence, learning algorithms. But what they can't do is build cohesive teams, create a vision, enroll people into that vision. So those are really the key skills that any project leader or integrator should be focusing on, rather than necessarily just the technical skills.